find yourself telling one lie after another because there's something in your past that keeps haunting you. You can't help that miserable feeling of shame when you think about your roots, a family member, or feel your own ethnic culture is so different from everyone else's. You feel it's best to just leave it in the past. Well, all of my guests today are struggling with shame. My next guest says people who are ashamed are wrapped in some kind of secrecy and will do anything to develop a false self, build a good external, but often feel they are a bad person. She's a family therapist in St. Paul, Minnesota, author of Facing Shame. Welcome, Dr. Marilyn Mason. We're glad to have you here, Dr. Mason. Why? Because people feel ashamed, feel that they are a bad person because they're trying to deal with the guilt. For instance, as Diane said, the guilt of feeling badly about her father, feeling badly that she felt good that her father had died.
That's one piece of it, is that guilt. But what has happened, and I heard you talk about earlier today, is how a little child doesn't have the common sense. You've been applying a lot of common sense. The person who grows up in a shame-bound family doesn't have the common sense because the self gets really damaged. And so that little self that's growing up doesn't have a screen to interpret and say, I'm a good person, I'm lovable and capable. They grow up with no good boundary, and so they try to get their identity outside themselves. Give me a title, give me money, maybe I'll be okay, maybe you'll love me. Always seeking the external, saying maybe I'll be okay, but what has to happen is the self inside has to grow up.
Hi, you're on the air.
Yes, I would like very much to say that each and every one of those people up on that panel, sure, stop and grow up. There is nothing that anybody in any of their families that has done anything for them to be ashamed of. They haven't raped anybody, they haven't killed anybody. Just because they're hillbilly or they're Mexican or they happen to have a nut in the family does not give them the right to judge their parents and get up there in front of all these people and say how lousy and rotten they grew up. The fact of the matter is that they did grow up, or at least they're at an age where they're considered adults, even though they're not acting like adults.
I just wanted to say that that's a good example of being shamed. What just happened over the telephone, that was very shaming of these people, rather than to say what courage it took to come out here and be on network television and to talk about it. That's what they need to hear. I know that the intention was good, and the intention was, hey, you're lovable, wonderful human beings, but it wasn't delivered that way, and what it's going to do is tap the shame that's wired in their history, and they're going to go back and feel that kind of internal hemorrhage one more time, and they don't need it.